to the station, crew. Enjoy your stay.
Alright, welcome back to Space Station 14. This will be another round taking place on Wizard's Den's Lizard server. And as you can see on the round start, I'm going to be working for science, though that's not going to matter much this time around. Because, spoiler alert, we're going to have to coup or usurp the captain's position and become captain ourselves. Anyway, here's the first hint of that. An announcement by the old captain. Spoilers. All administration at this bridge, please. We need to take a private vote with the AI included. Interesting, interesting. Through circumstances, luck, skill, and other things, we'll be lucky enough to have quite the story happen today. Anyway, so we become a Syndicate agent, which means that we're gonna have some extra tools to help us out on our journey. And, more specifically, our goal, which I'm gonna be checking, is to steal the captain's ID. So, at first I'm thinking I'm going to just break into the captain's room from space and try and steal the ID from their room, the extra spare ID they have. I think that's what the plan is at first. I don't see any openings or opportunities for me yet. Anyway, from this point onwards, I'm just gonna stop being a scientist is not gonna be mattering at all, except for like, well, actually, it's not gonna. It's going to matter somewhat, kind of, maybe. Anyway, I head to the head of personnel because I want to acquire some EVA suits, so I can go in space, the space outside the bridge to break in. So I asked for an EVA suit. I tried to come up with an excuse, but the head of personnel seems to be quite agreeable to the suggestion. Also, the research director, while some of the other scientists were asking them for something, told us that they were in a meeting, so some important business happening on the bridge. Which, interestingly, the head of personnel is not involved in. Anyway, the AI makes an announcement that the word dictatorship is being used, and that they don't seem to be quite aligned with these I don't know, direction goals. So another opportunity that might be opening itself. Anyway, at this point, I'm gonna try. That's when I choose to buy a chameleon kit to try and, because of the AI's announcement, I'm gonna try and become the new captain. And this just confirms it. It was been voted 2 to 5. We are officially in a dictatorship. Please know that me, the captain, can do whatever, whenever. No rules apply to the heads and the government. There will be rules only for the people. Anyway, this pretty much confirms what I'm going to be doing, which is try and coup the government, basically, and take over as a new captain. And the AI also confirms that they'll be one of my key allies in this coup, since they're, A, they control a lot of the station, and B, they're not aligned with the captain. So I just keep putting on my chameleon clothes, so I can disguise myself as perfectly as the captain as perfectly as possible, without any traces of me being a scientist. Also, since we're next to space, and I have an EVA suit, I can hide the evidence of my previous identity over here in space. So I just chuck in here the implant and the old PDA. Oh wait, actually I do one more purchase, which is something I often do when I use chameleon clothing or I'm switching PDAs often. First I check the costume, the captain disguise, and it looks pretty good, at least for me. So I go back to being a research assistant, and something I often do when I have to switch PDAs is get a uplink implanter. In case we lose our original PDA or we have to dispose of it. This way, we won't be losing our uplink ever, unless the implant gets taken out. Also, as you can see in the general communications, people don't seem to be quite happy with the dictatorship. Anyway, so now we have an integrated uplink. So we take our last tool, I think, for almost, actually that's not true. There's gonna be one more tool, but that's gonna be the last tool that we take for our costume, an agent ID, so I can copy accesses once I acquire the captain's ID.
Attention.
That way I can have a fake ID and a real objective, based ID that I can hide. Also, I threw away my ID, my old original ID, but I was thinking I could maybe take it back to microwave, but it's too late now. So anyway, I took away the empty, useless PDA and used my new one. Our disguise is pretty much done. So it's time to go back inside. So I know that the people aren't going to be with the new dictatorship, but is the rest of command going to be against dictatorship? If I was to take over the captain's role, would they support me or would they bust me up too? Anyway, once again, the AI makes it clear that they don't like the situation. Boop, scientist time. So we head back to science to see what inventions they got and if any of those could help me. I'll go down to one of those. Somebody in the science communications tells us that we've got advanced tools, and one of those, the Jaws of Life, which I could buy a Syndicate version, but instead I can get a free version in science. The Jaws of Life can open closed doors. Anyway, I go back to the head of personnel to feel out the situation. They ask me how the suit is. So I tell them that it's, very good, thank you very much. But now that this is a dictatorship, are you like the heir? If I was to coup the captain, would he care? Would he want my place? Would he want to become the captain, the next captain? And does he have the captain's ID, more importantly? He says he rules Servicaria. Which means that he doesn't seem interested. Anyway, praise the captain. So we head back to science. As the head of personnel, seems like he won't be interfering with our plans, no matter how they go. The CMO makes a message that they were one of the no votes. So we have some backing from the AI and maybe CMO. So I'm currently planning out where I'm gonna be going. We already have the advanced tools in our tool belt, so we can head over to the bridge right now and break in. And try to pass ourselves as a new captain that's here to replace the old captain. And bring back the regular corporate rules. Anyway, we don't have external access, so we're gonna have to start forcing open doors, one at a time. I think if I had the Syndicate Jaws of Life, they would have been slightly faster. But on the other hand, those are, contraband to have, while the regular Jaws of Life aren't a crime to have. So it's less suspicious. Honestly, I don't remember why I was playing as a scientist this round. I think I was trying to get familiar with the complicated artifacts, but I just realized that wasn't fun to do, so I stopped trying. Anyway, we make our way inside. As I try to make my way inside the bridge, the doors get bolted, meaning that the AIs see me. I was thinking they were going to be one of my allies. So I see if I change into my disguise right now, will the AI clue in on what's going on? So I go inside the locker, become a captain, take off my spacesuit. Which means now we have limited time because this place is spaced. So we have to not die in here. I could open the oxygen bottle you can see over in the top right, which should make the place safe, but I decided to go towards this vent here to try and not die. I take off my gas mask and helmet to look a bit more personable. Anyway, I say, I'm here to take over the captain and bring down the dictatorship. Now, the AI know what's going on, that I'm a Syndicate agent, since they've seen me change clothes, but they can look over that with the fact that they also want the dictatorship to go down. Anyway, I buy some healing smokes, which are also contraband, so I won't be keeping them on me, just smoking a couple as we need healing. Make my way inside the captain's room. See if they've left behind their ID. I can see that the captain's laser is still in this box. The captain's saber is still inside the locker, so I can take these tools of authority to make myself look more legitimate. Also, I put on the real carapace instead of my fake chameleon one, so now I actually have armor. And I pick up all the other, all the leftovers that were left inside the locker. So now we have real glasses and real armor and real communications. So we have some tools of the job. So now it's time to head to the bridge and try and demote the captain so I can get their ID and keep it legally, basically. Okay. And thankfully, the AI's laws have been changed to make so that the captain is the highest person whose orders they have to follow. And it just so happens I have a captain's ID, at least a fake one, on me right now. So I call them. I'm also the captain. Can you announce that I am personally ending the dictatorship? And that the heads of staff are summoned to the bridge. So even if the captain doesn't get demoted and I don't get to have their ID, at least there'll be some chaos from all the government changes. Anyway, we're slowly but surely healing from our cigarette. I try and lock all my chameleon items with a voice line, which I'll be totally forgetting about since I'm never going to be changing chameleon clothes ever again. Anyway, hello command, this is your CC sent Captain. I heard there was an end to the corporate rules. Also, the AI announces, because I don't have actual access, I can't announce yet. Anyway, Captain Edwards Echo is announcing and of the dictatorship, and is requested that all heads present to the bridge. They ask how they've heard about that, and I say that Central Command can read the announcements, which is true, I think. The Chief Medical Officer, who was already opposed to the dictatorship, can come. They said they haven't done anything yet, anything that was wrong. But I don't really care about that, I'm just here to get their ID, which means I need to demote them. Which means we gotta convince these guys to demote the captain. Anyway, I try and take command of the situation. The quartermaster shows up, so we have 2 command members to support our little meeting. And the research director. They ask me who I am. The first person to challenge my my cover story. NT is very disappointed with the violation of the corporate rules. Anyway, because the previous captain already managed to have all the heads of staff convene for a meeting, it means that the next meeting is a bit easier to convene by me. So that's lucky. Multiple of these small details are going to be lucky for me, as you've seen already. So I say they're going to have to vote on the demotion. The CMO already says that the captain is out. Anyway, the real captain shows up, but they're dressed as a chief engineer. I can see that they have the captain's ID, but I'm gonna pretend that I don't, and that I see that they're only the chief engineer, which is a bit of a it hurts their authority a little bit in this meeting.
Abnormal activity detected in the station's power net. As a precautionary measure, the station's power will be shut off for an indeterminate duration.
So they say no, which you think that might be them using their captain authority to stop the meeting, but actually, since they aren't saying that they're the captain and I'm still pretending that they're the chief engineer, I say that I'm gonna count their vote as a no. So the research director and the chief engineer are voting no. Anyway, there's some kind of a brawl. So I start giving orders to the head of security. And they're obeying my orders. So that's already another good sign. Anyway, a small brawl breaks out. Oh, the CMO points out that one of my own backup carapace, the chameleon one, which I think I locked, hopefully.
Power has been restored to the station.
So I say that I had a look inside the captain's room, and I point out all the things that they left behind, including money and their own stamp. Anyway, we gotta get this vote on the road. So this chief engineer and the research director vote no. I'm not voting. The CMO voted yes. Now I go for the important part, the head of security. Since they control, you know, the weapons, they're kind of like the last word. They asked if they can be like a junior captain with only bridge access, which to me sounds like a demotion. So I say yes. That can be what they get, instead of being demoted to passenger, they can be demoted to a junior command member. Anyway, the captain seems to be getting onto my plot, even though they're still pretending to be the chief engineer, which is how I'm gonna be treating them. That's gonna be who I was before, and the real answer that they're trying to get is I was a scientist, but instead I can say that I can spin up a little story about being a small boy on a little planet. Anyway, there's two flaws currently with my costume. Also, they start punching me. Thankfully, I have armor, so it's not hurting me too much, and I have a healing for my cigarette that's still smoking. So the head of security arrests the chief engineer / captain. So we stop using the vote idea, and instead I'm just going to sentence him to a crime. And right there, as I say that to process them, I take their ID, securing the objective of my mission. But anyway, there's two flaws currently with my costume. Number one, I don't have the captain's laser or any access. I don't have any... If they had tried to test me, for example, by making me open the door, they would have realized I don't have any access. And two, I don't have a mind shield. Only the head of security could have been able to see that, but I currently don't have a mind shield, so I don't look like an actual command member, but thankfully they didn't notice. Anyway, pretty much officially demoted the captain. And taking over their role. On what the old captain did, I don't think, everybody wants to have their gimmicks. Being a dictatorship is a gimmick for sure, and drives the round for sure. And it definitely made for an interesting situation. So I think it was alright, and apparently, according to the CMO, they didn't abuse their power. They will realize later at least one person who was one of their victims. Even though it turned out once again that they had the correct judgment, as that person was a Syndicate agent. Anyway, the captain has been demoted / arrested, and I think they committed suicide, if I remember right. They don't come up again. So anyway, the old captain has been arrested. We're now in charge. Also, I forget to drop in a code word in there, but it's fine. It worked out. So, we're currently the captain, apparently uncontested. by changing my ID in the ID console you just saw me, I now added myself to the manifest, the crew manifest, officially. So that works out. The head of personnel wasn't at the meeting for some reason. They seem to have lots of work today, so that happens. Also, all throughout this meeting, people have been having issues. As you can see, maybe as you've seen, maybe that the area was kind of wonky in the bridge. Apparently, there's been damage to cargo, so engineering has not been doing a very good job. Which is good for me, because if engineering doesn't do a good job, that makes the station worse, and that's what I want. So I told the head of personnel about what role the old captain is to have. And also I just now realized that I don't have a fake mind shield, so I'll be implanting myself with that in a little corner somewhere, eventually. Boop. Anyway, we'll get somebody out here. Who wants to have a chat? And turns out this is John over here is a Syndicate agent. And they're using multiple code words. Interestingly, the other Syndicate agents won't be really using the fact that I'm the captain to their advantage all that much. They'll mainly be getting the additional accesses from me. Without the oversight of the head of personnel. That's about it. And not even all accesses, just a couple additional accesses. Anyway, they said they were going to move the bridge. That is a tradition for antagonists on this station because it's quite easy to do. And I say that, you know, you can still do that. I'm not because I'm the captain, I'm gonna stop you. So I say if they need anything, any help. I mean, you know, I'm done here. I now rule the station. I can't really do much more. Anyway, while this was happening, engineering was having comms, not about how they were going to be repairing the place, but because of how they're working on a project inside engineering. Security doesn't have any power, and the places are spaced. Anyway, I said that they can go to the personnel because he's not really paying attention, so... So instead, I say that I can do it. I have an ID console inside the bridge, as I've just used. So we can just, you know, do the ID thing ourselves. Anyway, we'll be meeting with them in a little bit. So we use the fake mind shield and hide it in our own room. Since only I have access to it, basically. And we pick up the laser pistol. A decent weapon. Mostly because it has infinite ammo. So, you know, very strong for long fights. Anyway, I wait for the agent in front of the bridge. Well, I'll do some inventory checkouts. I saw that the research director was over there, so I go ahead and give him the science medal. And also, engineering comms just says what their project was, which was a double Tesla. Which is what was causing them to ignore their duties on station. Anyway, it seems like the AI and engineering have been having a bit of a war, as the AI is trying to make them go to work. Anyway, so I can add, cargo access, externals also, sure. And, most importantly, the person who seems to be responsible for the project inside of engineering seems not to really care about doing their duties. So that's the perfect person to promote to the chief engineer so they can keep mismanaging engineering. Anyway, the person in charge of the project can come to the bridge for a medal. See, a good manager could have been able to do this project without without ignoring the rest of the station. But a bad manager ignores the entire station just to do a little project. So, he's a good person to promote, as they'll be able to do more projects and keep ignoring the station. Anyway, I announced that we've got triple the power and more money than ever. Because it sounds good. That we're a much better system than before, yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised at how little pushback I've been having. The AI knows I'm a Syndicate agent, but they don't seem to be that concerned about it. And the other head of staff seem to have been fooled by the cover story. At least that's what I could tell. Only the AI really knows that I'm a Syndicate agent, and all the other Syndicate agents too. Anyway, the AI knows that they failed in their duties, and they warned me about it. Which is what I know, which is what I want. So I give them the engineering medal for their efforts on doing a double Tesla, which is impressive. Though it did come at the cost of the rest of the station. And second, we don't have a chief engineer on station. Never have, I guess, I think. So, they accept the promotion. Which means now not only do we have an incompetent chief engineer, but it's also in my pocket, since they personally owe their position to me. Anyway, it seems like Red Alert gets called, and I don't know really why, so I asked for some people to come into the bridge, because they're more likely to protect me than to kill me. Now they asked me if they can keep their clothes, and officially the answer would be no, but I'm not a real captain, so I can allow it. Yay! A real captain wouldn't be able to do that. Also, as you may be able to hear, there's a ninja prowling about in my office. So we head to the communication console because I need to make an announcement about why we're on red alert. So there's a ninja in my office, and there's a crazed person with an e-sword and a hollow parasite running around the halls. That's why we're on red alert. The mime tries to mime out that they want additional access. So I would give it to them, but the ninja is here to ruin the day by breaking our windows. I try to make sure that that I'm saying that I'm on their side, but it seems not to work out really. So I'm just gonna be closing the blast doors and trying to get air inside.
The emergency shuttle has been called.
And thankfully the evac shuttle gets called. I didn't even have to do it. I want to get my spacesuit inside there, but it's not meant to be. Thankfully the ninja doesn't come up to us because they could kill us very easily. But we do have some backup. Also the place is spaced. So I leave my sword behind for somebody to use, just in case. So I get everybody to escape and try to defend the last person who stayed behind. And the ninja's back to his old tricks. So I'm just gonna leave. He wants to use the bridge to call in his a threat and to mess with the security stuff. So we're just gonna retreat and head to evacuations. At some point I can sneak back into my office to get my spacesuit on. So we're now surrounded by friends. The quartermaster, who doesn't seem to worry much about our situation. The new chief engineer. Everybody got weapons. The research director. Then the security has been busy. Though this is going to be a relatively calm evacuation. As we head back to Central Command with a new captain. And the quartermaster tries to make the plot twist of the century by telling me that the chief engineer was the old captain. So I try and play into it a little bit. Anyway, that was a great round for me. A really fun roleplay opportunity for me. And hopefully it was fun for everybody else too. So, see you guys next time. Okay, bye.